Happy Sunday. And today I'm going to talk with you about sacrificing happiness. Okay. Um, are you one of those people who is always busy? You're always busy. When somebody finds you in the elevator, they say, "What's your day like?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm so busy." But then at the end of the day, you don't feel like you accomplished anything meaningful. Does that sound like you? Or sometimes do you feel like you're spending so much of your time doing the things that you're supposed to do that you end up not really having any time to do the things that you really want to do? Does that sound like you? Um, or do you feel like you're working so hard at what you do, but you're just not really getting that much joy out of it? Um, Well, if any of those sound like you, that's what today's episode is about. Today, I'm talking about sacrificing happiness. But before I get started, just a little bit of housekeeping. I'm doing this video on Be Live. And so if you like this topic, if you like what I've got to say, go ahead and share the video, share it on your timeline or in a group if you want. And if you are a badass woman who is ready to flip the script on her life and create a brand new reality, go ahead and join my private Facebook group. It's called Lips. Live Your Purpose, Sister, and get in on the conversation. We've just gotten started and things are about to heat up. And finally, if you're just into this happiness stuff, like my Facebook page, Happiness Republic, or visit me on my website, happinessrepub.com. So that's it for the administration stuff. Let's get started. So I posted a poll in my group, Lips, this week, and I asked the members what they would prefer. Would they prefer a job that is low stress, but it's very rewarding, but it doesn't really pay that much? Or would they prefer a job that is high stress and it pays a lot? And so most people chose a job that is low stress and very rewarding, but the pay is low, which is not strange because those results, the results of my small poll, are perfectly in line with the results of a study that they did with students. They asked students which they would prefer: a low stress job with low pay or a high stress job with high pay. Most of the students, they answered that they would choose the low stress job and sacrifice happiness. But then, as part of the study, they followed up with those same students after they got jobs just to see where they landed in their job choice. And even though most of them said previously that they would sacrifice money, in reality, the results were flipped. So people actually, those students, even though they said that they would choose a lower stress job with with a lower pay, they went ahead and chose higher stress jobs because of the money. And so what this study is showing us and telling us is that people know intuitively, cerebrally, um, that happiness is important to them. But for some reason, we have this tendency to sacrifice happiness in favor of other things like money or fame or status. And why the heck do we do that? Do you know why we do that? Why do we put happiness second or third or fourth when we know full well that we want it to be first? Why do we do that? Well, the reason is likely because of the negative beliefs that we might be holding about happiness. Okay? Sometimes we've got something going on up here in our brain. It's a negative belief. It's been there for a while. We don't even really think about it. And it holds us back from doing the things that we really want to do. And one of the negative beliefs that people have about happiness is that happy people are lazy, which is totally not true. Happy people are not lazy. Happiness actually makes you more creative. It makes you more productive. Employees who are happy are way more productive. They're higher earners, and they get better performance ratings. So that myth that happy people are lazy, just get it out of your mind because it's totally not true. Another thing that people think about happiness, or some people think that choosing happiness makes you selfish, um, which is also totally not true. It's not true at all. Actually, I heard Bjork. Do you know? Do you know that Icelandic singer Bjork? So I heard her talking, and she said something really smart. She said, "I'm going to read it. The minute I start to try to please 5 people, I won't please anyone. But if I only please myself, I might end up pleasing 10 people." And it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm really feeling that one. Guys, mind me, I'm looking all over the place. I'm looking up here because there's a camera there, there's a camera here, and there's a camera here. I'm just doing some backup recordings in case you're wondering why I'm looking all over the place. So yeah, that thing that Bjork said really resonated with me. Let me read it again. The minute I start to try to please 5 people, I won't please anyone. But if I only please myself, I might end up pleasing 10 people. And that really resonates with me because I can think of so many times where I've tried to do the thing that I thought somebody else was going to like, and I didn't please myself, and I ended up just screwing myself. Like, for example, back when I can think of times when I was like hosting a dinner party and I'm planning the menu and I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, what am I going to make? I'm going to make the things that the people who are coming, I'm going to make what they like. But then what actually happens is if I end up making something that my guests don't like, and I don't like it either, because I would go ahead and make things that I thought other people would like that I don't even like. So if they came to my house and they got there and they didn't like what I made, like what does that mean? That means that I'm just left with a whole bunch of food at my house that I don't even like. So what's the point of that? And it's like, I'm not happy. They're not happy. As a matter of fact, I'm actually kind of angry because it's like they're not eating it. And it's like, I did this for you. And they're like, but I don't like it. And so it's like when you get on that plane and you're listening to the instructions and the flight attendant is telling you that when that oxygen mask comes down, you put on your own oxygen mask first before you can even think about helping anybody else. It's the same thing with happiness. Make yourself happy first so that you can be of service to other people. Otherwise, if you're not happy first, you're not useful to anybody. You're unhappy, and you're essentially just going to run around the world making everybody else unhappy too. What's the point? Make yourself happy first. Selfish people are not, sorry, happy people are not selfish. As a matter of fact, happy people contribute to charity more. Happy people they judge others more fairly. They're less critical. They have better relationships. They volunteer more. They're better citizens generally overall. Happiness does not equal selfishness. So get that out of your mind. Stop it right now. Another reason that sometimes people just don't value happiness is because some people think that happiness just doesn't last. So what's the point of going after it? And it's like, that's not entirely true. It depends on the style of happiness that you choose. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But there are some types of happiness that are fleeting, right? They don't last very long. And there are other types of happiness that they will keep you happy for a really long time, and they'll get you into that state of flow that you really want to be in. And so it really depends on the kind of happiness that you choose. And I'm going to start talking about that in just a minute, but I'm going to take you to one of the other reasons that people devalue happiness or essentially choose other things like money or status or fame over happiness. One of them, and this one is a big one, and I think a lot of people suffer from this one, and it's that People just don't know what happiness means to them. They haven't really thought about it. The thing is, people like and pay attention to whatever they understand. And so if you don't really understand what happiness means to you, you're not likely to pay attention to it or give it any priority. Even though if you were asked in a survey if happiness is important to you, you'll put yes. If you don't really know what happiness means to you, then when it comes, you won't notice it, number one, and you won't be able to prioritize it because you won't know what to prioritize. Does that make sense? You have to know what it is so that you can recognize it. And then the last reason that people tend to choose other things over happiness is because they get caught up, and they kind of forget what the ultimate goal was. Um, they kind of forget what their goals are, and they start going after the thing that is supposed to get you what you ultimately want instead of going after the thing that they ultimately want. Let me say that again. They start going that is supposed to get you what you ultimately want instead of going after the thing that you actually want. Let me give you an example. Okay, let me explain. Let's say that your ultimate goal is to be free. Your ultimate goal in your life is to feel freedom. And so for you, in order to achieve freedom, you're going to need some money. So you go out and you can make some money, right? And you get the money, and then you're like, awesome, I have money, so now I can have more freedom. But if I got more money, then I could get more freedom. So you chase the money and you go and get more money. And once you get more money, you look at that pile of money and you go and try and make more and more and more and more and more money. And now you're chasing the money. Meanwhile, the goal was to be free, but you forgot about your goal of freedom. Instead, you decided to chase the money. And that happens to us a lot. You have an end goal, but there are things that you are going to need to do in order to get you to your end goal, and you focus entirely on that. And that is a mistake. You always need to remember what your end goal is. And so if you want to actually, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. So let me move on. I hope that part made sense. If it didn't make any sense, put in a comment, ask me a question in the group. You might be asking yourself right now, how do I stop this nonsense? How do I stop prioritizing other things that are not my ultimate goal, that are not my dream, that are not my purpose, that I'm not passionate about? How do I stop prioritizing those things in favor or instead of happiness? Well, the answer is simple. It might not be easy, but the answer is simple. Decide. Decide to make happiness a priority in your life, okay? Before you make your decisions, remind yourself of what your ultimate goal is, okay? This is what I'd stop myself from saying earlier. When you get offered a promotion at work that pays you way more money than it paid you before, or than you're getting paid right now, but it has a way more responsibility too. You have to stop and ask yourself if getting that money is in line with your ultimate goal. If your ultimate goal is to be free, then is taking more money and having less time to do the things that you want, is that in line with your goal of being free? It's up to you. Like, that is entirely up to you. You might decide, like, hey, I don't care. I just want the money. I'll deal with the freedom part later. It's up to you. I just want you to know that you have a choice. You can make that choice, okay? But you have to consciously do it. And the only way that you're going to be able to choose happiness, and the only way that you're going to be able to make happiness a priority in your life is if you know what happiness means to you in the first place. And so essentially, you need to define happiness, right? You need to define happiness for yourself, right? Happiness doesn't mean the same thing to everyone. According to psychologists, actually, there are 8 different types of happiness styles, 4 main ones, and 4 sort of other more minor ones, but they're all valid. And you could have mainly one of these styles that I'm going to describe to you, or you could be a combination of a couple of them. So I'm going to read them out for you and listen to them and identify which one is like you, right? You're going to be one of these styles, one or more of these styles. Identify which one is like you. Okay, the first one is called sensory pleasure. And this people who have this happiness style, they feel a lot of joy when they're using one or more of their senses and getting something enjoyable out of using that sense. So it could be the sense of sight, like looking at things, or the sense of taste, eating things, hearing things, listening to music, um, using your senses, touch. And so, I mean, this is totally a valid type of happiness style, but I just want to warn you that this is that fleeting style that I was talking about earlier. Remember when I was saying that some people feel that happiness, like, what's the point? Happiness never lasts. Well, if you choose sensory pleasure as your happiness style, then it's kind of true, because this is that fleeting style that I was talking about. This happiness style doesn't last for very long. It's great because it's things like, you might say, "Oh, I love to eat chocolate," or "I love to have a glass of wine." Like, it's great, and like you feel really good while it's happening. But the problem is that you only feel good while that sense is being heightened. So, for example, you might experience a lot of joy out of experiencing the taste of whiskey, right? But the thing is, you only experience the joy of the taste of the whiskey while you're drinking the whiskey. And so when the whiskey's done, you don't really experience that same joy of the taste of whiskey. And so, in order to get another feeling of the joy of the taste of whiskey, you have to keep drinking whiskey, which, as you can imagine, can get kind of dangerous because you can get drunk. And if you're doing it all day long, forever, because you want to have a long experience of joy from the taste of whiskey, you can become an alcoholic. So I'm not saying don't choose the sensory pleasure style. I'm just saying be aware that this is the fleeting style. And so don't put all of your happiness on this style. There are other styles as well. Okay. So the next style is a little bit better. It's not like a lot better, but it's a little bit better, and it's called hubristic pride. Now, this style, people who have this style, they feel a sense of joy when they're better than somebody else. It's a very competitive style. And this one is a little bit dangerous as well, because it's like you're setting yourself up for an eventual sadness. And the reason for that is because everybody fails at some point. Everybody loses at some point. And if you put all of your happiness on doing something better than someone else, um, eventually you will become unhappy. And when you even when you are happy, the happiness doesn't really last for that long. The happiness only really lasts for as long as you're doing something better than somebody else. And so when somebody else comes along and they start doing better than you, then ta-da, your happiness is gone. And so I mean, I'm not saying that you can't be competitive, because competitive, like, competitions are great, and it's nice to get that, like, boost of happiness when you win. But I am saying that instead of getting all of your satisfaction from doing something better than someone else, why not try this next happiness style? The next happiness style, and tell me if this is like you or if this could be like you, it's called authentic pride. And this happens when you feel joy because you made some kind of improvement. You feel great when you do something before. And so, for example, if you love playing tennis, instead of looking forward to beating your opponent at tennis, you're going to look forward to mastering your own skills at tennis, right? So that means you're going to practice every day, or you're going to practice once a week. You're going to feel really proud of yourself when more time last time. Feeling proud of hitting the ball more than your opponent hits the ball. You're feeling proud of hitting the ball more than you hit the ball last time, okay? Make it your goal to improve your, you make it your goal to play. And then when, if you want to make a challenge yourself to playing with somebody better than you, a little bit better than you, not a lot better than you, because then you'll just get discouraged, but challenge yourself to playing somebody who's a little bit better than you. And that's how you'll find yourself in a state of flow, right? Because that's how you can challenge yourself to be better than you were last time. That's way different and way better and way longer than hubristic pride, which is just challenging yourself to be better than everybody else, right? You're challenging yourself to be better than yourself, and it's long lasting. It's not fleeting, right? Uh, Happiness styles. But there are some other happiness styles as well that you can sort of tag on to those main ones. The first one or the next one is love and connection, which kind of speaks for itself. Love and connection, when you are with the people around you who you love, which is a very popular happiness style. So that might be you. You might also, abundance is another style, and it's the happiness style that makes you feel good when you know that all of your needs are taken care of. You've got everything you need. You're not comparing yourself to anyone else. And and yeah, your needs are met, and so as a result, you feel joy. That's called abundance. I'm like that. Some people are in the category of serenity. You feel joy when you are calm. Another happiness style is the interest style. You feel joy when you're engaged with your surroundings. You're probably the type of person that likes to go to protests and rallies because it's really important to you to feel like you are part of the things that you care about, that you believe in. So that is the interest happiness style. And the last one is kind of like a basic happiness style, and probably everybody agrees with this, amusement. Happiness is when you're having fun and when you're laughing, there's lots of laughter around you. That is another style. So guys, all of these styles, which one resonates with you? Hubristic pride, feeling good when you're doing better than someone else. Not a good one. Good one. That you can have it, but don't put all of it on it. Or are you sensory pleasure, which is you feel good when your senses are being heightened with essentially things, which is also a fleeting style. Don't put all of your happiness on that style. You can put all of it on it. Or are you authentic pride, where you feel happy as a result of what you were doing before? You feel better when you are making some kind of improvement. Are you love and connection? Or are you abundance, where you just feel happy because all of your needs are met? Or are you all about serenity and calmness? Or are you about being interested? Are you all about feeling engaged? Or are you the last one? Is happiness entirely just about having fun and everything being funny and amusing? Um, think about it. Which one of those resonates with you? Okay, because I want you to do an exercise this week. Think what it means to you, and then write your own definition of happiness. Okay, so I want to tell you that my happiness style, a combination of love and connection and interest. So I wrote my own definition of happiness, and I'm going to read it for you. Happiness to me means that I'm able to express myself freely while being conscious of different points of view. It also means that I don't have to worry about my basic needs and I feel free to pursue my interests. That is la definition of happiness for me. Okay, so write out your own definition of happiness. This is a really good exercise to do because, like I said before, if you don't know what happiness means to you, when it comes to you, you won't even recognize it. So take the time to write it out, write it down, figure out what your style is, and write your own definition. And once you've written your own definition, then make a list of all of the things that you can do that fit your own definition of happiness. Okay? Does that make sense? And so for me, I've already started on the exercise, right? Because I just told you what my definition of happiness is. And one of the things that I can do that totally fits my own definition of happiness is this show. So last Thursday, I came up with the idea to create a show. I named it on Friday, Sunday, Happy Sunday. And here I am today doing one of the things that I love to do the most, which is talk about the things I've learned. I love doing this. I actually woke up early this morning because I was excited about this episode where I could share with you what you can do to stop being that person who is like busy. You're busy all the time. You're doing all kinds of things, but like none of it feels really good. And you're working really, 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 really hard, but you don't feel like the things that you're doing are meaningful. Stop that. Prioritize happiness in your life by choosing it. Write a definition of happiness based on your style. And then things that you can do that fit that happiness style. And then guys, this week, choose one. Choose one. I did it. I chose one. It's called Sunday Happy Sunday. And I've committed to every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be talking about something related to happiness. And as a matter of fact, I'm really already excited about next week because I've got a really amazing topic for you next week. So I'm crazy excited about it. So I want you to get started at prioritizing happiness, guys. Forget about it. If you have this belief in your mind that happy people are lazy, put it out of your mind. Happiness does not make you lazy. Happiness doesn't make you selfish either. Actually, it is the complete opposite. Happiness makes you productive. Happiness makes you a good citizen. Happiness doesn't make you selfish. Happiness makes you give more, okay? Happiness doesn't have to be something that you just enjoy for a short time that's fleeting. You can have long-lasting happiness that puts you into a state of flow. It just depends on what you choose to put into your life to create the happiness, okay? So figure out what that is and then prioritize it. This one's key that I forgot to mention. Prioritize your happiness, but don't pursue it. Don't constantly be checking on yourself to see if you're happy because that won't work. It's kind of like just find the thing that makes you happy and then create an environment that allows that thing to happen. Don't focus so much on it after that and constantly checking to see if you're happy. Like, am I happy now? How do I feel? Am I happier? Am I happier? Is this happy? Is this what I want to feel like? Don't do that. It's the kind of like the same as um like if you're trying to go to sleep and then all of a sudden you're like you start to fall asleep and then you're like, oh, am I sleeping yet? Am I sleeping? Is it happening? Am I sleeping yet? Like, it's not going to happen, right? Just create an environment that makes it possible for you to go to sleep, right? Sleep on a nice bed, maybe play some nice binaural beats and some nice meditation music, and maybe have a cup of chamomile tea before you go to bed and relax your mind. Do that. That is creating an environment that's conducive to sleep, and then you can go to sleep. Create an environment that's conducive to you being happy so that you can be happy. You prioritize it, but you don't pursue it. That one's really key. Okay. What else did I want to say, guys? I I hope that you really, I'm serious, I'm going to follow up with you, especially if you're in my group. Follow up. What did you get down to doing this week? And that is it for this episode. Next week's episode, guys, is called Stop Chasing It. That's what it's called. I'm not telling you what it's about, but you're going to love it. And I can't wait to come back next week for Sunday. Happy Sunday. In the meantime, if you liked this episode, share it. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your mom, share it on your Facebook page, share it in a group. Just share it if you liked it. Even if you didn't like it, share it anyway, because somebody that you know might like it. If you are a badass woman who is ready to flip that script on her life and start to create her own brand new reality, join my private Facebook group called Lips, Live Your Purpose Sister, and get in on the conversation. We're just getting started, but things are about to heat up this week, and I'm going to be following up with you on this video. And finally, if you're just kind of into all this happiness stuff, then like me on Facebook, Happiness Republic, or visit me at happinessrepub.com. And so that is it for this week's episode. I will see you next week on Sunday. Happy Sunday. Bye, everybody.